Left. What's up, everybody? Yes, nice. I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report, and I see that I am streaming on YouTube, DLive, Periscope, Facebook, and hopefully Twitch. And of course, the audio feed has been going, continuing from the Jesse Lee Peterson show into the Hake Report. Appreciate you guys joining. The Hake Report does stream on TalkStream Live and on the Jesse Lee Peterson live audio feed. Nice, huh? And then that audio feed, after I go off the air, it goes to the Jesse Lee Peterson show the rest of the, 19 hours or whatever? Or maybe 18 hours. It might take an hour to figure out what it wants to do. But there is a live audio feed on jesseleepeterson.com/show and also the hakereport.com/show. So, it is Tuesday, August 25th now. Man, Men's History Month is coming to a close, and I want to talk about men today as well as whites and blacks and mess, and hopefully the RNC thing. I do want to touch on, whites are becoming, or they've been, it's been a long decline, right, into more and more weakness. And some of the perverted, weak things have been on the rise since the attack on whites and the weakness of the white males generation after generation. What a mess. I'm going to be talking about that. I hope not to get too explicit or gross. And there's some nasty stories and rumors floating around that I don't really want to feed, but I do want to touch on it. There's a major attack on people who are Christians or supporting Trump or just conservative in general or trying to be right and men. They're held to a higher standard. They're falsely accused and who knows what, right? And Trump's family, by the way, is under major attack. I read about that in Hake News yesterday. And his wife, his marriage, his children, his sisters and nieces and all those people. I do want to remind you, too, of Trump's great tweet. But anyways, you can call in 888-775-3773. Some of you have already been on hold for a few minutes already. But anyways, let's get started with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, what's up, everybody? And I am James Hake. I'm just typing a quick message to you guys in the live chat. Was the song too quiet just now? Press 3. If not, then it's just my earphones bothering me. Not loud enough. If it was loud enough, press 1, and some of you guys are pressing 1. Appreciate it. It's definitely not too loud. I don't see any 2s. Anyways, before I get to the callers, I have Samuel from Sweden on the line and others. Let me start off with this disgusting message courtesy of the awful, lying, typical dumb, blind, brainwashed black so-called leader setting a bad example for the black kids. LeBron James. LeBron James. Maybe the greatest player ever. He plays tennis, right? Badminton. It was good, James, says Savage Pitbull. Thank you. Appreciate the feedback on the intro song. I think we just need to adjust my earphones. Maybe I could turn it up a little, adjust the music. And then Jesse Lee Peterson, whose studio and chair and stuff that I'm using. Thank you, Jesse. We'll be shouting about it tomorrow morning. Someone get Bill. It wasn't me. But LeBron James, I've talked about him in the past. He's basically a typical brainwashed social justice warrior. Not the chair. I'm referring to the headphones, Nick. Kiss up, brainwashed black guy. But he also has this what's called a platform, because he's a very prominent. Is he still playing basketball? I think he is. Yeah. I think he just won a game, right? Over on like Sunday or something. Or maybe Monday, I forget, whatever. But he's running his mouth, and he's been pro-Obama, which is disgusting. Anti-Trump, which is to be expected because he's dumb, doesn't think for himself, right? Brainwashed. But he's like, I wouldn't meet with Trump. I'd meet Obama, though. Over the years of doing the Hake Report and doing the Jesse Lee Peterson show when I was, helping produce, right? We've covered him. Jesse Lee Peterson crossed paths with him at the gym before he got thrown out of the gym. Equinox gym. And Jesse rolled his eyes at him. According to Jesse Lee Peterson. Because he's been pushing mess, being very destructive to the black mindset, because dumbly enough, there are blacks who look up to this guy and respect and listen to what he says. I can only assume, right? But he's part of the establishment matrix. I read about the Matrix and watched a video about the Matrix and the producers or the directors or whatever of the Matrix. Oh my gosh. They are, yeah. I'll tell you about that later. Remind me. Maybe even this show, I'll tell you about it later. But anyways, a lot of you guys talk about, take the red pill. It's about waking up to reality. The social justice nonsense is complete, just total lies. The establishment, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of an inspiration from the movie The Matrix, where this hero in the movie, Neo, is just a normal hacker man. And then this black guy offers him a red pill or a blue pill. A red pill, you see reality. The blue pill, you stay in your comfortable illusion of just normal life, right? Well, that's what that's what a lot of you guys and, the movie The Red Pill, about debunking feminism, basically. She was this former feminist, was trying to research the men's rights movement, and then she took the red pill. She went into the rabbit hole and discovered that, not completely, right? But she just talked to some men's rights activists, and then talked to some feminist people who oppose the men's rights activists, and found out that the men's rights activists are nice people, nice guys, too nice. Whereas, and some of them are a little angry or bitter or whatever, but they have some valid complaints. And then and they just want so-called equality. And then and they're not necessarily against the idea of feminism, which is supposed to be making women and men like equal, which is a ridiculous push, but whatever. They have some valid complaints, she discovered. And then the feminists are just nasty and dismissive and lying, right? Well, this guy is a blue-pilled guy. Let me get back to LeBron. LeBron, I don't know how I came up with that, but LeBron James, he's part of the Matrix. He's just part of there is an endless supply of so-called authority figures and authoritative voices and sources, including the mainstream media, just pushing this completely false and blatantly common sense says it's false idea of racism against black people. And, they reference history, which virtually no one can go back and confirm what really happened, right? And, so he's part of that. He's not single-handedly brainwashing the people, but he's part of the problem, right? Well, he's part of the symptom, let's say. Let's say he's part of the symptom, because he's got issues himself. We covered how he was a total mama's boy on the Jesse Lee Peterson show in the past. You can check out past videos on the Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube channel. Get them while they last. No, it'll last. But he grew up like with a single mother, and I forget what happened. But I have a video of him running his mouth just yesterday or the day before talking about this Kenosha situation. Did he condemn the riots? Don't think so. Didn't hear a word about that. But he's trashing the cops. No sense of responsibility on how the blacks act to get themselves in these situations. Listen to this nonsense. It's a little bit rough, so listen closely, okay? It's a bad recording from Daily Mail of his press conference after winning some game. Here's the details. LeBron James talks following the Lakers' Game 4 win over Portland Trail Blazers at the NBA's bubble near Orlando, Florida on Monday. Listen to this.
I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but we are scared as black people in America. Black men, black women, black kids, we are terrified. Because you don't know. You have no idea. You have no idea how that cop that day left the house. You don't know if he woke up on the good side of the bed. You don't know if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You don't know if he had an argument at home with a significant other. You know, if one of his kids said something crazy to him and he left the house steaming. Or maybe he just left the house saying that today is going to be the end for one of these black people. Because we see it over and over and over. There was multiple, if you watch the video, there was multiple moments where if they wanted to, they could have tackled him. They could have grabbed him. You know, they could have done that. And why does it always have to get to a point where we see the guns firing and his family is there, the kids are there, it's in broad daylight, and it's this through the grace of God that he's still living. Like 7 shots, close range, and he's still alive. That's through the grace of God right there. And my prayers goes out to that family and that community. But I got nothing nice to say about those cops at all.
What a crazy person. Totally lying. And one of you guys said, yeah, he's living in a bubble. Literally living in a bubble. Yeah, that's true. So if you're wondering what he's talking about, he's referencing this case that Benjamin Crump is on. Benjamin Crump being the black ambulance chasing, lying, scamming lawyer who links up with the relatives of these fake victims, fake black victims, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin. They call him, he's a lawyer for the families. He's an attorney representing the families. But none of these people virtually have any families at all. They're not families. It's the unmarried father, the unmarried mother, or married somebody else's father, married somebody else's mother, or the non-wife, you know, stuff like that. Because even in the case of this man who got shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin, he was not married to the mother of his children, but she's running her mouth. So this is what Benjamin Crump tweeted that LeBron James is promoting. Benjamin Crump, this sleazy attorney guy, says, wow, this black man was shot several times in the back by Kenosha police today. He was getting into his car after apparently breaking up a fight between 2 women, completely leaving out the fact that he was fighting with the cops. He's in critical condition now. We demand justice. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And of course, Twitter promotes Black Lives Matter by putting this hashtag emoji thing attached to any time it says hashtag Black Lives Matter with the 3 communist black fists, anti-American, anti-white black fists. Actually, anti-black too, because it's promoting false lies, right? Well, just lies, right? False rumors. And then LeBron quote tweeted that and said, and y'all wonder why we say what we say about the police. Someone please tell me, oh yeah, I forgot to blank this out. Sorry, kids. What blank this is. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Someone please tell me WTF this is, which is what the blank this is. Exactly, another black man being targeted. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, he's targeted. This beep is so wrong and so sad. Feel so sorry for him, his family, and our people. Meaning, I guess, blacks, degenerate blacks. We want justice. So that's what this guy tweeted, referencing what Benjamin Crump tweeted about Kenosha, Wisconsin. Another viral incident. And what did the blacks do? Riot. 2 nights in a row. And I did see some non-blacks also rioting, joining forces with the destruction of America, honestly. Of blacks, of whites, of themselves. What a mess. LaBeta James, says Shane on YouTube. I will get to your super chats and stuff. Appreciate that, guys. And I will get to your calls. But real quick, I just wanted to show you last month, this guy, LeBron James, he tweeted about Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor being the woman that got caught in the crossfire. They were trying to do a drug bust or something. I don't think drugs were found in the home, but she was girlfriends with a drug dealer man, and then she was with somebody else who may or may not have been a drug dealer. I don't know. But that man that she was with, maybe sleeping over at his house, huh? What? Immoral. He fired at the cops. Supposedly the cops announced their presence, but he thought that they were intruders, supposedly, right? And he fired his gun that he legally had at them. They shot back. She got shot in the crossfire multiple times. Thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson for hosting the Hake Report on DLive. Appreciate that. Thank you guys for the subscriptions. But he tweeted out about Breonna Taylor. Hashtag justice for Breonna Taylor. So sorry, Breonna. Dear Breonna. He tweeted out this dumb simp meme that says, Dear Breonna, who's dead, by the way. She can't see this. I'm sorry this is taking so long. And their sorriness that this is taking so long is the reference to the fact that the cops have not been, I don't know if they've been fired. I don't think they've been arrested or prosecuted because it was a crazy situation. What the heck? They storm a house. They had the warrant. They had the warrant for the house, right? The media, I think the media tried to cast it that they had the wrong house, but I don't know if that's the case. But it was a caught in the crossfire situation. Maybe there was some unfortunate errors on the part of the police, or maybe not. But it was definitely not a racist incident against the blacks. So dumb. And it definitely wasn't a murder. But that's what they just call anything. Blacks being targeted. And this guy, you heard him on the clip saying, I don't know if police just woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day. You know, we don't know. We're terrified. Men, women, and children. Black men, women, and children. When in reality, the blacks are the ones who are the most violent people. Attacking the cops, attacking each other, attacking the whites, going crazy. And it's been that way for years, maybe decades. But they don't want to tell the truth about it. And they want to reference back about, the KKK days. They were lynched. As if that has anything to do with what's going on. It's only, like Jesse Lee Peterson says, all of this propaganda only feeds their false anger and misdirects their anger because they're mad at each other over, your first violation is from your parents or whoever raised you. The first injustice that you face, right, is by, the mother, usually. So they're detached from reality. And these people who are pushing their, LeBron James, always entertaining, but pushing their lies are perpetrating an injustice against the blacks. So Jacob Blake, age 29, who was fighting with the cops, according to his father, is paralyzed from the waist down. The doctors do not know if it's a permanent paralysis or not, but he has 8 holes in his body. I got this from Twitter Moments, that his dad is driving up from South Carolina or something, or North Carolina, one of those. I can never keep those straight. To to Wisconsin because he wants to touch his son's face and stuff like that. Just an emotional, phony guy. And the father, by the way, is, oh man, I don't know if I put this in there. But anyways, the father is, where would I put it? The father is going to speak at an Al Sharpton event. I told you guys in Hake News at the end of, I think, hour 1. I mentioned it. But it's disgusting. And here's a quote from the police union president of Kenosha Police, Pete Dietz. As always, the video currently circulating does not capture the intricacies of a highly dynamic incident. And as you saw on the Jesse Lee Peterson show today, in the video footage, it was wild, a whole bunch of black women screaming, and fights and scuffles and running around. It was chaos. And they want to pretend like, oh, the police can just tackle him or do something when the taser didn't even work. So he called the governor's statement, and I told you guys about the governor's statement. The disgusting guy, Tony Evers, whose picture I showed you, doesn't look like a Christian. He's definitely a sick. Jesse Lee Peterson pointed out how he's like, looks so weak in stature. This Tony Evers guy, kissing up to Black Lives Matter, says, another black man shot, and we need to, I don't know, he's just attacking the cops, and not holding the blacks responsible for their behavior, for their bad behavior. But he called the governor's statement wholly irresponsible. And details have emerged about Blake's criminal past, including a recent arrest for sexual assault. And who knows if that's true, right? Because there are a lot of false accusations against men by black women, by white women, by homosexuals of sexual assault flying around, right? But who knows? According to online records, Kenosha County prosecutors charged Blake with third-degree sexual assault, which sounds mild. Third degree, right? Compared to first or second. But who knows? Trespassing, which is not surprising. Disorderly conduct, which is not surprising, in connection with domestic abuse. And men are constantly smeared with this domestic abuse charge. You heard how at the beginning of this incident, when he drove up, there were like 6 or 7 black women yelling at each other. And you can just picture that incident, just chaos. And he tells his son to get into the car. I don't know how old the son is or what was going on. But this is just some history about this guy, according to Daily Mail, right? In 2015, Blake was charged with resisting arrest, not surprising, and carrying a concealed weapon after he pulled a gun at a local bar in Racine, Wisconsin. Is that how you pronounce it, Racine? I think so. Close enough. So, you know, of course, Twitter pretending that they're a platform and letting you talk as long as you don't tell black women the truth. The fake news publisher / activist outlet, they're pushing out stories about this guy and promoting the Black Lives Matter lies. And they're talking about, meanwhile, the rioters are talking about, I got this quote from revolver.news, guys. Are you proud of me? I'm getting a little bit away from Drudge. It says, we'll burn your shop down too, says one rioter. According, there's some, Andy No is putting out information. He's an independent journalist, talks about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Excuse me. And the Wisconsin governor is egging on the rioters, according to revolver.news. And I would totally agree with it. He said some disgusting things. I'm not going to read it again because I already read it twice yesterday on Hake News and as well as the Hake Report. But you can go back and check it out if you need to. It's sick. You can see it in my blog post too, the Hake Report, and in the news post from yesterday, the 24th. But I got to get to some calls and mess. By mess, I mean super chats. I'm referring to these people as mess. It's sick. Thank you for subscribing to Robot Moose. Appreciate that, man. Very nice. Asmodor hosting the Hake Report. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. That's cool. Appreciate the support. Evgeny Crosby 2020 gave a diamond. We need JLP, Hake, Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones at the RNC. Yeah, I was going through the speakers list. A whole lot of rhinos, but, you know, I like President Trump. I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on RNC, the Republican National Convention. Night 1 was last night. Night 2 is coming up, and 3 and 4. You can catch it live on YouTube or Facebook, I think. Twitter/Periscope. And Amazon Prime, I heard it's on. Some of the networks are playing it, but they play commercials over parts when it gets good, I heard. But I do have some thoughts about it. It's, you know, hit and miss. But a lot of people were pleasantly surprised. They were impressed with it. So that's cool. Right on. Even some decent conservative people. Cernovich was impressed, which some of you guys are not impressed with Cernovich, right? But he was impressed. Vincent James was pleasantly surprised by some of it. So right on. Some of these guys had some good speeches. And these guys are kind of hit and miss type people. Matt Gaetz. Didn't he have a good speech, I heard? Yeah. But he is a hit and miss type of a person, I would say. Yeah, that guy. You just can't trust people. Would we be any better? We got to be perfect. He did have a good speech, though. Oh, man. I'm going to talk more about it, but let me finish reading these super chats and get to your calls. Hang tight, guys. Hake, the world needs more redheads. Come on, man, says Arizona lineman. Yeah. First, Prince Harry who's red-haired himself, right? Although his hair is thinning. Goes and marries a mixed black American, anti-American female who's already been married before, does she already have a kid? I don't know. But anyways, yeah, terrible. That's part of the white decline, the weakness. Not getting married, or getting married to liberal females, and sometimes of other races, and just a mess. But appreciate that. Arizona lineman gave a diamond and said, I agree with James, they are hunting criminals. Oh, he's referring to LeBron James. The cops are hunting criminals, which includes blacks. Many, right. Evgeny Crosby, 2020, gave a diamond and said, LeBron James is dangerously stupid and being used. Yeah. Yep. Somebody in the chat talked about his beta posture because he was putting his arms inside of himself. Yeah, insecure guy. He just had his single mama. Polly J gave a couple of diamonds. Thank you, Polly J. Appreciate that. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, Wisconsin governor looks like a poster child for betas. And you know, that guy was in charge of education, at least in Wisconsin area, for some time. Or at least he was heavily involved in the education system. I would not trust him to educate my kids, if I had any, or anybody else's children. Well, he's a sick person based on his dumb, evil, deceptive, and destructive tweets about this incident. That tells you plenty about that. So, male. I was going to say so-called man. That male. Thank you to Joe Maddock gifting subscriptions to people. Congrats to Ben Oberst. Right on. And you can give super chats if you don't want to go over to DLive. You can go to streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Appreciate that. Oh, I still got to appeal my, whatever you call it, for monetization on YouTube. Hopefully I'm keeping it clean. Keep it kosher. right? Let me get to Samuel in Sweden. He's been on hold for some time now. Samuel, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a ride now, with the stream every Sunday.
Yeah, that's cool. Congratulations on that show. The cross stream every Sunday, 9 a.m. Los Angeles time, 6 p.m. Swedish time. Figure it out if you're somewhere in between or outside.
Yeah, in
Samuel
1 month
Samuel Forsberg on YouTube. Anyways.
If you write the cross stream in YouTube, you should find.
Okay,
my
the
channel.
cross stream, guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
In one month, I had got over 100 subscribers. It's
Right on.
But now the haters are finding me, so it's
Nice.
The comments are starting to build up.
That means you're making it.
Yeah, but it's fun when you don't have a strong ego, because they say negative stuff about you, and I'm like, you talking to me? I really don't feel pain over it. I just know that they're nasty people.
Yeah, that's cool. It is great to be able to handle stuff.
I mentioned Christian political party in Sweden, so I wanted to mention it because it's fascinating, because it's insane. Hello?
Yes. The Christian political party in Sweden?
Yeah, we have a national Christian political party. It's called the Christian Democrats.
Oh,
They're in the Swedish version of the Congress, and they are liberal and leftist and all that. And I want to mention 4 people in that party. First off, the chairman, but it's a woman, and she said that she's very strong for the nuclear family.
Right.
But then she goes and divorced her husband last year, and say that they're friends. And they had 2 small children.
Wow.
And they say that they're friends and like each other, but they don't want to live with each other. I mean, I consider divorce almost like child murder, because you kill the soul of the children. And they do that even when they say they kind of like each other. I mean, seriously, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then she's worked all her time as the chairman for the party to accept homosexuality and homosexual adoption and everything. And, I showed the image of her walking in the Pride Festival.
She walked in the Pride Festival?
Yeah, she was the woman having a pink dress, waving the rainbow flag in one of my earlier streams.
Wow.
And that's the leader of the political Christian Democrats, as they are called. And then
I might have seen that, but I didn't catch that she was supposed to be a Christian party leader.
Yeah, she's a leader. She's still a leader. Then there's another woman. She was the chairman for the Christian Democrat Youth Party, the part of the Christian Democrats for younger people. And she has now gone out and told everyone that she are waiting twins. She's pregnant with twins. And she is living with a man outside of wedlock.
Right.
She's pregnant with bastard children, and she's looks like a normal Swedish woman, blue eyes, blonde hair, and she's married to a black. No, she's not married. She's living with a black man, completely black man.
Yeah.
And I was like falling off my chair. What is this? And she has profiled her as a very Christian woman. She has been against homosexuality, against abortion, and she also was kind of nationalistic. But now I read about her, and some years ago she made a 180 degree and started supporting homosexuality and all that.
Yeah.
So now she's a Catholic Christian, but she has no respect for, I guess, Christian values.
Yeah.
And then now the chairman of the Christian Democrat Youth Party today, the chairman now, the leader of part of the party,
Yeah.
he is an openly gay man. He came out as a gay man last year, and he said that he went out as a gay because he wanted other Christians who are gay to come out of the closet.
And you said that he's a leader too?
Yeah, he's the leader of the youth section of the Christian Democratic Party.
Wow.
They have, for adults and then for youth. So he's an openly gay man, and everybody love him and support him, whatever. And, and did it just to support others to be gay. And, I mean, that's like Romans 1st chapter, when Paul say,
right.
Not only did they live in sin, they also wanted others to live in sin. And now the fourth person I want to mention is actually the only good person, and he is no longer... he was the vice chairman of the Christian Democratic Party, so he was pretty high up, exactly under the chairman.
Yeah.
And they found out last year the media, leftist media, had a witch hunt because they found out that in every time there was a political question about abortion, he would vote no against abortion. They found out that he was always against abortion. So they was hating him in media, saying to the Christian Democratic Party that you can't allow him to be in the party because he's evil, he's against abortion. And they threw him out.
What?
They currently, the only decent person in that party, they threw him out. And, I mean, yeah, that's the state of the Christian political party in Sweden.
That is mind-boggling. Wow, Samuel, appreciate this info. Well, is anybody surprised? That's this kind of the state of, that's what's coming to America if it hasn't already. I mean, most of the mainstream so-called Christian leadership are kind of weak over here. I don't think that they're that off the deep end. What were you about to say?
I can say that I know some conservative Christians, who are against homosexuality and things like that.
Right.
And when they saw that the only decent person was thrown out of the party, they lost all faith in that Christian political party.
Good.
So that's
rightly so. Isn't that a shame that the real Christians are not, or the people who are clinging more closely to real Christianity, how come they're not leaders? You know what I mean? Well, I mean, of course the world's going to prop up its own, but that is interesting. Females in charge and homosexuals. That's sick.
But it's kind of, it's a spiritual thing. It's because there's a spiritual battle and they are led by Satan.
Right.
I actually talked with a politician today, a good politician.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the only nationalistic party in Sweden who is in the government. And previously they had been against European Union. They wanted to leave the European Union.
Yeah.
But I think it was last year that they said that we will no longer have that policies. We will be in the European Union. We support the European Union.
Yeah.
And I said, that's crazy. I mean, that's what we want Sweden to be sovereign,
right,
and independent from other parts of Europe. And they are not Christian, but they gave up on the best thing about them, to be nationalistic.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Sweden is not
going against.
Sweden is not currently in the EU?
Yes, we're very deep in the EU.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah, actually, because this is it's crazy. Because some of the European countries closed down because of the coronavirus.
Right.
They completely closed down. All the people went without job, and now the European countries have to pay some of the other European countries billions and billions and trillions of dollars.
Right.
And your euros, we don't have dollars, we have euros. And Sweden will have agreed to pay 150 billion euros to other countries. And that's what I and my children and my grandchildren will be paying because those countries are stupid.
Right.
Because they lock down and let people go starving or whatever. Now we have to pay for them. It's crazy. I used to say, suffer and die. If
Right.
they don't want to work, they should not get any money. They can just suffer and die. But now, no, we are paying 150 billion euros, and that's like, well, yeah, that's a lot.
That's what they want, is globalist socialism in the EU, the UN, all these trashy, evil people.
But I also want to correct myself. Perhaps it was 150 billion crowns, because if it's 150, okay, so perhaps it's a bit less than I said, but it's
Okay.
150 billion crowns is still a lot, because that's...
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, but if it had been 1 euro is 10, like 10 crowns.
Okay.
So, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Lots of money. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the information, Samuel.
The crazy Europe.
Yeah.
Don't be like us, America.
Yeah. Very good advice. Take care, Samuel. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You as well. Man, he brought up how these women are in charge and the homosexuals are in charge, and that's what they're pushing. That's what they're pushing big time. In the liberal side of the so-called church here in America, that's what they're pushing. And I told you guys about that so-called Catholic country of Ireland that has a homosexual prime minister who brought his homosexual partner, wannabe husband thing over to America to go in your face to Mike Pence, who is a pretty conservative Christian, at least in namesake, tries to set a good example. He's a politician, though. Who knows? Don't know how much we can trust that guy. But he's the vice president. Trump likes him. I like him. It's so awful. And it's another example, too, of that perversion and that weakness and an attack on the white civilization, which is like the last bit of decent civilization, right? Or free civilization. And if it's not moral, it's no longer free. And that's what's happening. Let me quickly get to Marty in Kansas City, Missouri. Wants to talk about the Proud Boys versus Antifa up in Portland, etc. Marty, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Did you no man is good, I know.
But-
Did you see that video of the Proud Boys up there?
No, I haven't watched any video of the confrontations between the Proud Boys and Antifa. No.
Yeah, so they go up there, like there's probably like 10 at most, I would say, of the Proud Boys, and there's probably like 100 Antifa and BLM.
You're talking about a video that you saw up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I kind of talked to some of those guys, but the video that I saw is what I'm talking about right now. But they so they're all up there, right? And so like it's like 10 versus 100.
Yeah.
And and of course, man, you can't fight a battle like that. And so they're like Antifa's throwing bricks, they're throwing everything, and the Proud Boys are just kind of like, you know what, we're being overrun right now. So they start backing up in military formation. And I'm sorry, my freaking computer kicked back.
Yeah, make sure that's muted. Thank you.
Yeah, it was, but what happened was stupid thing happened. But anyway, so there's like 10 of them versus 100. And so then the Proud Boys were like, we got to, the Proud Boys, they can whip like 2 or 3 of them at the same time. I mean, they're tough dudes.
Right.
And so they're like backing up in a military fashion, and there's like 2 of them. One of them, he's very famous. His name is Tiny, and he's a big Samoan dude. And so he's covering the back as they're backing up, and then as Antifa's trying to overrun them, and they're going back to the parking garage to their vehicles, and freaking like somebody gets in his face. They wear those masks. Those Antifa people, they wear those masks. So they got one of them got in his face and started swinging, and so Tiny just freaking takes one shot and just knocks the person out flat. I mean, just bam. Dude freaking hits the person, hits their head on the concrete, right? And so then it comes out that it's a woman. And then all of a sudden Antifa starts going, call the cops. He just knocked out a woman.
Right.
It's like you can't even tell. I mean, because they're wearing those daggum masks, you can't tell if it's a woman or if it's not a woman.
And she was swinging at him.
That's correct. And so, you know, I mean, equal rights. But the other thing I was going to say is that the militia was about 2 blocks away.
So can you explain? Do you happen to know what the occasion was? Why the Proud Boys decided to have their rally, and why? Because I know that there's been riots day after day after day in Portland for like 80 days or something, right? But why did the Proud Boys
exactly?
Why did the Proud, maybe more now because it's been more days, but why were the Proud Boys up there? And I gather that the militia is another group, and they were militia tries, although they are conservative, they don't tend to be activists as much as trying to keep a separation and keep the peace, because the cops won't do it in these liberal cities where the city council and the mayors don't let the cops separate the evil party from the decent party from attack and prevent Antifa from attacking the semi-decent people. So why were the Proud Boys there, though? Do you know?
Yes,
What
I
was the
do,
occasion?
because they got sick of it.
So they got sick of the riots, and they made a showing.
Yeah, and they were just like, you know, we're not here. They're like, we're not here to stir it up, you know, to throw hands. We're just here to make sure that others don't throw hands, and if they do, then we're going to react. And so that's why they were there, and that's the same reason the militia was there. But the militia wasn't actually at the location. The militia was like 2 blocks away, and the militia was getting harassed by libtard press, and because they were so heavily armed, and they had, you know, they were wearing, you know, bulletproof vests and all this kind of crap, and so they're getting harassed by the press. You know, it's like, why are you here? Why do you have this weapon? Why are you, you know, blah blah blah? And so they're going after the militia, but yeah, so like so Tiny and the rest of the Proud Boys.
And they're from out of town? Are they from out of town or from in town? Do you know?
The militia, or are you talking about the Proud Boys?
Both.
The Proud Boys, they go anywhere.
But I'm talking about, so they were mostly from out of town?
I would say that.
Okay.
And you know, and like when so I shared some of their videos, you know, when they were there in Portland, and you know, and I had friends that were like, man, that's a racist organization. I said, how can you say they're racist, man? Look at who they are. They're freaking. There's every race in the Proud Boys that there are.
And even if they were all white, it doesn't make them that stupid. It's ridiculous. Just a dumb attack on white people. Anyways, go on.
But they're not all white.
I know, but even if they were, who cares? They have the right to be that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so they're and like I said, there's like I think it's like maybe about a 60-second or a 1-minute video on YouTube of Tiny, because he there's no spokesman for the Proud Boys, and so he's like looking around for a spokesman because they got a camera on him, and so he has to speak for himself, and so he freaking pulls his mask off and he speaks for himself, and he's like, man, we're just here to stop the crap that's going on. We've been watching this for 80 days, and I'm like,
right,
go get them.
But if they're not, unless there's Proud Boys there in that town, or there's innocent people asking for that help, I would just let Portland suffer personally, you know, because Portland has been inviting this for decades. They are a liberal city, and they're tearing themselves apart, and they deserve what they get. You know, they deserve that destruction by bringing it on themselves. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. That's exactly what Donald Trump said. He goes, maybe I should just let these places fall apart.
Yeah, because the Proud Boys, most of them are decent people and won't cause any trouble. But it's hard to be, and they do try to self-police, but it's hard to be completely self-policing. Look at what happened to the alt-right in Charlottesville. They were generally a decent, peaceful people, right? But there was fights that broke out. Antifa attacked them. Black Lives Matter attacked them. They fought back, and they got the bad press, right? They only got screwed. Only the decent alt-right people got all the bad press. And then one guy drove into a crowd. One lady got killed somehow, heart attack. Maybe she got run into. I don't know. And only the bad press was on them, and that organization was destroyed. They didn't really have a solid foundation. Many of them, some of them are Christians, and they're thriving today. Some of them are atheists, and they're continue to be under attack and just divided and destroyed. Some of them have major legal problems. Based off of in some cases, it's very unjust. Probably in most cases, it's very unjust what's happening to the alt-right, and the same thing is happening to the Proud Boys. I don't know if it's wise to go to these situations because there's going to be a fight. They may say that they're not going there to throw hands, but there's going to be hands thrown because it's
80 days, though. They put up with it for 80 days. Did you?
But
watch,
they don't. But my point is, unless there's people asking for their help to come,
right?
And they should be the people who live there should be. The people from out of town have a total right to be there from out of town and all that. I'm not saying they don't have a right to do it. I'm just saying, is it the wise thing to do? Because the media is only going to lie about them.
Did you watch Charlottesville live?
I watched some of it live, yeah, and I watched a lot of the aftermath from some honest journalists.
Because I was watching it live, man. There was a dude, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Red Elephants, but they had like a freaking camera, and they were going around filming it while it was going on.
Right.
And the Proud Boys, there was the Klan, and then there was like some neo-Nazis, and the Proud Boys were like, stay away from them. Don't associate with these people.
I didn't know that there was any Klan there or neo-Nazis there.
Well, there were, but they're...
I didn't even know that the Proud Boys went. I thought that Gavin McInnes said no Proud Boys are supposed to go to Charlottesville because he didn't want the association with the so-called Nazis.
Well, that's exactly true. And
so I thought that they didn't even go.
I think they were there because I actually saw footage of some Proud Boys, and they were like, separate, get away from these people.
I know that the militia showed up, and the militia were just there to try to keep the peace and separation. And wherever the militia went, it was pretty mild compared to the other situations. So
yeah, and those clowns,
But I didn't see any Klan there, and I did see Matthew Heimbach's organization. They consider themselves the Traditional Workers Union or something like that, and they consider themselves National Socialists, right? Nationalistic Socialists. Okay. I guess you could call that neo-Nazi, maybe, but they don't call themselves that. So I don't know.
Of course they don't. Why would you? It's like these.
Right.
Why would
so
you
I don't know, but I don't think it's appropriate to call people neo-Nazis if they don't call themselves that.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Or the Klan. I didn't see any Klan there. But I wasn't looking closely. I didn't care. But
yeah, I mean, they had. Well, there were people that were flying the Klan flag. That
there
white
may have
flag.
been one person. I saw one person with a swastika flag. What's the Klan flag? What is the Klan flag? What is that?
I think it's like a white flag with a red cross on it or something like that.
That's supposed to be I think that's just a Christian cross flag, right?
No,
I don't think that's a
so. I think
Klan
it's
flag.
like a Klan thing.
I mean, maybe the Klan did it too back in the day, but I don't think the Klan is even really in existence hardly. Yeah, they're mostly old people. I don't think there's any young people. That was mostly a young people thing. Yeah, David Duke was there, but he left the Klan.
Yeah, and he went through a lot of surgery on his face, man. You can see that. He looks like he's a freak of nature with all that, surgical stuff he's had done to his face.
It's a shame what people do to their faces.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways, Marty, I appreciate the stories. Thanks, man.
Okay, that's cool, man. I want to just give a shout out to Nick, Chick, Brandon, and Skip, man. I love the chat. Thank you all. You're awesome. Thanks for the support.
Right on, man.
And I'll catch you later, man.
All right. Take care. So, before I get to Chance and Rick and the rest of you guys, hang tight. Hang tight. We're coming towards the top of the hour. I'm going to want to give a little bit of my reaction on the Republican National Convention thing. Tax Cattles calls himself, I don't know if he's joking or not, he calls himself Nazi and KKK. What the heck? I don't know. Some people get so pushed by the insanity of the world, they don't really have a solid foundation and just become whatever they get accused of being. I don't know. Noah's Ark, Kansas gave a diamond. Appreciate that, man. But the Republican National Convention, I didn't really watch much of it. I watched little bits of it. Like I told you during the Jesse Lee Peterson show, I watched and listened to a little bit, as much as I could stand of, I don't know why I did this either. That Black Rhino guy, Tim Scott. And he was just being, he talked about the opportunity zones, which I guess I thought that this is supposed to be the land of opportunity, but he talked about opportunity zones that he set up with President Trump, and I could only think about how effeminate he's sounding and standard fake politician he's sounding, and referencing being a black guy from a single mother and stuff like that. It was hard to listen to. I had to turn him off. I don't even know why I even started to listen to him. And I know that Nikki Haley, the rhino female, was running her mouth. I didn't listen to it. But according to Drudge, she said, we're not a racist country, essentially. And wow, stupid. Trump thanked CNN, by the way, for airing everything. I did watch one speech that this person said stuff that I don't think that there was anything incorrect that she said, except the fact that she's like, I'm a proud Latina. But Don Jr.'s girlfriend, and I use the term girlfriend, but she's older than him. She already has kids. She's already been married multiple times, including to Gavin Newsom, who was the former mayor. He was the mayor, I guess, at the time of California. Then he became the lieutenant governor, and now he's the governor of California with his beta babies. And she was married to somebody else before that or around that, after that. Did I say San Francisco? Mayor of San Francisco? Maybe I said Sacramento. But, I said mayor of California? Oh, man. But that woman, I like that she supports Trump. I've liked her on Fox News, for Fox News, right? That's nice. But she had a weird energy. And my mind was a little bit poisoned, I guess you could say, by TMZ sending me this headline that, what's her name again? I'm blanking on her name. Kimberly Guilfoyle gives a bizarre speech at the RNC. And, they all come up and speak alone, and it's just them. You don't know if anybody's in the audience watching them. It looks like they're speaking inside of a church or something, some auditorium thing at a podium. And they're talking. But she gave her speech, and she had this weird energy, just boisterous and sometimes got with this nasty voice, overly harsh, just completely overdoing it. And I think some might have been speculating, the liberals who just nasty and hateful towards anybody who's in support of Trump and the Republicans. Speculated, I think, that she was on cocaine. I don't think so. I think that's a disgusting speculation. But maybe she was on Red Bull or something. Because I saw Don Jr., her younger boyfriend, President Trump's oldest son. I like that guy, but he shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be dating her. He's already married, has kids, right? He's divorced now, but he had 2 Red Bulls in his hands and talking about, I'm getting ready for my speech. So maybe she had Red Bull, and she's like in her 50s now, right? Or something? Maybe late 40s. I think she might be in her 50s. But maybe she had Red Bull and isn't used to having Red Bull, because I've had, energy drinks, and then I get overexcited. But she was overexcited the whole time. At first it was hard to watch, and then you just start laughing. But nothing she said was untrue. Bush was nowhere to be found. That's nice. I'm very glad for that. Unfortunately, Nikki Haley was there. Unfortunately, Tim Scott was there. Tim Scott pretends to be friends with Trump. I don't know. Kellyanne Conway is on her way out. I'm happy for that. I've told you guys about that yesterday. But they're telling the truth. The McCloskeys were there. That couple, suburban couple, the lawyer couple. I think they had prosecuted police in the past and said that they supported Black Lives Matter. So they kind of got what they deserved. I think they're based in St. Louis, right? They were restoring this beautiful mansion of a house, old school, awesome house in, I think, St. Louis, right? Somewhere around there. And meanwhile, Black Lives Matter last month or two was marching, these sleazy people. One black woman was a disgusting socialist, and now is going to be a representative, I think, in that state of Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, right? Yeah. And the McCloskeys were sitting on the couch, doing a speech, trading off, like taking turns talking. Slightly awkward, but the stuff that they were saying was true. And I think that they meant what they were saying. That they're coming for the suburbs. And, under Obama, we had this redistribution of ghettos. And only recently was President Trump and Dr. Ben Carson, who's Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Can you imagine that HUD, Housing and Urban Development, is a role in the federal government? What the heck? It should be completely disbanded, along with the Department of Education and probably, honestly, the Department of so-called Justice, because mostly they just push injustice. But anyways, they got rid of the redistribution of ghettos, right? Because they wanted to. The McCloskeys mentioned that Biden and these Democrats want to get rid of single-family home zoning because they want to bring in, they call them low-quality apartments, right? And Trump has been tweeting lately about protecting your calm, peaceful suburban life, something along those lines, right? And it's true, because these people are coming through, they marching and allegedly breaking down a gate and going onto, looked like it went onto their property. Maybe I'm wrong about the McCloskeys' property, these Black Lives Matter agitators who were on their way to the, I guess St. Louis mayor's home to march in front of her house and chant and be disturbing the peace and harassing and being disgusting and being a radical lynch mob without the actual hanging of people. We just wait, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, they're committing enough murders against whites and themselves, each other, that I guess they don't have to do any public hangings right yet. But these are sick people. And they're, like I told you, they were shining flashlights, according to Nick, in Portland in people's homes and saying, get out. You've gentrified our place. You've stolen our land. So it's nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe. So the McCloskeys, right on. Right on for supporting Trump. That's cool. I don't know. They maybe have gotten kind of what they deserve for supporting the Black Lives Matter and liberal values. I don't know where they stand politically or morally, but what a mess. They should be condemning. I don't know if anybody mentioned the coronavirus thing. The Democrats were harping on that at the Democrat convention, right? pretending that they're going to save lives, right? Which they don't. They only put lives at risk. But they should be condemning the Democrat shutdowns of the economy. I don't know if they did. I do not know. But it looks like Trump may be overshadowing Reagan, which might, in my opinion, be a good thing, because there's this, just like how MLK has been used and exploited, and Abraham Lincoln has been used and exploited by just disgusting, evil people. And I don't know how good they were anyways, whatever. They're gone. We need alive people to be representatives of what's right, you know? So Trump is kind of more stamping his imprint on the Republican Party, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. But we need, like you guys said, Jesse Lee Peterson, Nick Fuentes, Vincent James, and decent people to be influencing, which they are from the outside, whatever. Alex Jones, what's that guy? Owen Schroyer, nice. Anyways, let me quickly get to Chance in Kansas, the first-time caller, and then I'm going to be talking about this white degeneracy. I don't really like the accusations against the Jerry Falwell Jr. He's a Trump supporter. I don't know much about him as a leader or a Christian or whatever, but he was right to be supporting Trump. And if he goes, I don't have high hopes for Liberty University. A bunch of the so-called Christian students there are already corrupt. Anyways, Chance in Kansas, first-time caller. What's up, Chance? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing much.
No, I just called just a quick little thing. I don't know if you heard about, it was in the NBA, a guy named Montrezl Harrell.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Is that where the black player, I mentioned this at the end of my show yesterday. This black player called this white player a B-A white boy.
Yeah.
Or a P-A white boy, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, it was one of the two. Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't know if you heard about that.
And then this dumb black ESPN commentator was like, now, let's not be nasty. Talk about, because, I don't know, it's supposed to be racist or something. Shut up, ESPN black
I
dude.
know.
Let the people have their freedom of speech. It's a game. It's heated. They're going to let them say the N-word too.
And how I look at it too is I watch like a lot of sports talk and stuff, and I know for a fact if the shoe was on the other foot, it would be blown up. I didn't hear too much about it like now, just because he's white or because he's black and he said it to a white man. But
and he said it to a foreigner white man too.
Yeah,
I think he was foreign. He had a foreign last name.
He's from Slovenia.
Yeah.
So, no, I just wanted to know if you heard that.
I had seen the headline on Drudge, so I looked it up, But to me, like, you're right. If it was a white guy saying it to, it was a white guy referencing the black dude's race in any way, it would have been, he would have had to resign. It would have totally blown up. You're right.
Absolutely. He might have been kicked out of the league.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
has this guy been suspended at all? I hope not. I mean, we need to go in the direction of bring back freedom and bring back some manhood. Like, men don't care about words, but
no, I know. It's the whole thing about like hearing it on TV, and it's about the shoes if on the other foot,
right?
Like it would be just blown up, and it would just be like, oh, he's a racist, get him out of the league. But
I think that whites should be smart and wise in their words, but they should also be bold and shameless in when they're right. You know what I mean? Like how Trump is. He's changing the culture for good. There's some people who think, oh, I'm being like Trump. And then they get all sassy and they're not acting like men at all. They just being a cheap imitation of men. Or some people act like they want to be like Jesse or whatever. And they're just, it's not real. We have to be real, but we need to bring back the spirit of the freedom of speech no matter what happens and stand by it and let the injustice happen. There's times to be wise and protect your job. That's probably maybe most of the time. I don't know. But there's times to be wisely let the job go. So
yeah, agreed. Yeah. So that's all I had to say, man.
Appreciate it, Chance. Good to hear from you, man.
All right, thanks, man.
Take care. So, hang tight, Rick, and the other callers. Hang tight, guys. 888-775-3773. Thank you to Polly J for the double diamonds. That's cool. There's a crazy attack on President Trump. As you know, I read about how his older sister, who's like 9 years older than him, or 8 or 9 years older than him, right? Liberal woman, former judge, former Reagan judge. Supposedly he talked to Reagan on her behalf and said, hey, let my sister be a federal judge. And so he did. Whoa. And then she was a Clinton judge. And she ruled, Ted Cruz once said that she was a radical, pro-abortion liberal judge because he was trying to beat Trump, right? He was trying to associate President Trump, or then candidate Donald Trump, with his liberal judge sister. And, you know, the Trumps, I guess they grew up Democrats, or they became Democrats somehow. Grew up in New York, and he read the New York Times every day, whatever. And working with, you know, all those people it's a Democrat city of New York. But according to Ted Cruz, she ruled in favor of partial birth abortion. Like, she ruled against a law that struck down partial birth abortion in some place, at some point, right? And the reasoning was, well, you're not defining what partial birth abortion is. It's not a medical term. It's more of a political term. And it's not defining what it is. Whatever. It sounds like she's a liberal pro-abortion person, but that's supposed to be a moderate position, according to the mainstream media, which is far left, right? So moderately extreme left, which is anti-child. You don't have to... Anyways. So that's that woman. She is now... or she was in the past couple of years, running her mouth along with her niece, Mary L. Trump, who was making headlines. She made appearances on TV talking about, oh, yeah, my uncle used the N-word. Yeah, right. And the niece was, according to somebody, secretly recording the sister of Trump. This older sister. And this older sister was talking about, oh, my brother's, he's such a liar, the tweets and the lies, is he doesn't know what he's doing, and so he doesn't read. All these dumb smears. Basically, dumb liberal females in the family being sleazy and gossiping. And the sister said, I'm talking a little too freely here, according to what, you know, the media leaked, right? From what the evil niece leaked. And the niece hasn't talked with the sister in some time now. And I wonder what the sister's thinking. It's really evil. But, you know, Jesus' family and town, didn't they reject him? Kind of. Whatever. And then Melania was secretly recorded by someone who was supposed to have been her friend for 10 years before Trump ever ran for office. And then this woman who was a fashion industry event promoter or whatever, or organizer, she completely turned on the Trumps after she got fired as a assistant or advisor to Melania for allegedly scamming the Trumps and getting $26 million for a company that she was working with or for or ran in the inauguration event of 2017, January 2017. The inauguration event. Big production. I guess she should get paid, but $26 million? And knowing how tight with money Trump is, and rightly so, I call that responsible with money. So Trump was mad, and she got fired. And now she's betraying the person who was supposed to be her friend and gave her a lot of work, Melania. And so she secretly recorded Melania allegedly disparaging her husband and his adult children, and especially Ivanka. And who cares if she's disparaging Ivanka? Doesn't everybody, most conservatives and liberals, disparage Ivanka? Because Ivanka, for one, she and Trump have a friendly relationship, right? So the liberals hate her for that. And then the conservatives don't like her because she's a liberal. And she's married to this liberal Jewish guy, and she's no longer Christian, but Jewish. But they're liberals. Like, they're letting people out of prison and feeling sorry for people, and feminists and women ruling the world and stuff like that. Maybe not that extreme, but women working and stuff like that. So they're trying to divide Trump and his wife and the children and everything. It's nasty. Well, there's an attack on Jerry Falwell Jr., who has been a prominent Trump supporter. I have some Drudge headlines. Some guy claims that this pool boy, right? And I guess this has been in the media for some time, right? But this is the first I had seen it. But there's some 2019 articles about this. This pool boy from Miami area. I don't know if he's Hispanic or what, or if he's like Italian or what. But he claims that Jerry Falwell and his wife had this weird affair thing going on where this guy would sleep with his wife, this pool boy, this younger male, would have sex with his wife. It's disgusting. And supposedly it spanned 7 years. And who leaked this information and who is putting this out? Reuters. Reuters, the disgusting pro-feminist, pro-illegal alien, anti-Trump, anti-American activist outlet which has a huge budget. Reuters. Reuters is every bit as bad as Associated Press. They're not objective journalists. They are anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-American, sleazy. I didn't think of them as being a tabloidy type of outlet, but they're going in that direction because they hate Trump that much. And Falwell was a prominent and fairly effective Trump supporter. Trump spoke at Liberty University, had a beautiful speech, and all the shallow liberals and dumb intellectuals could remember was where Trump said 2 Corinthians. But the verse that he quoted in this 2 Corinthians thing was about where there is liberty, there is peace, or where there is unity, there is liberty, something like that. And it was a great speech about, or a great point to Christians to unify, to be united and have power for what's right in the world, rather than being divided and kissing up to the liberals and continually letting the liberals take over. And so Falwell is maybe resigning, maybe not resigning. He at first agreed to resign, according to CNN, and then withdrew his resignation. What a mess. And they've been attacking Falwell, Jerry Falwell Jr. His father's the one who founded Liberty University. Liberty University. I think in Virginia is where it is. Is it in Lynchburg, Virginia? Anybody know? I don't know. But they criticize him for in June, this guy, Jerry Falwell, Liberty University. Is that Lynchburg, Virginia? I don't know. But in June, he apologized, shouldn't have apologized, after deleting a much criticized tweet that showed one person in blackface and another in a KKK hood and robe. And then he had this weird picture on a yacht with, I guess they're in bathing suits or pants unzipped or whatever. Yes, it is, huh? So, who knows? Who knows what the truth is? But my point is, there is a crazy degenerating going on with whites generation after generation. Remember, there was this guy that was preached against homosexuality, and then he was found or caught with sleeping around with it or getting massages or something weird with a gay guy. And then, so he was really disgraced. And then he had to apologize, and then he's kind of barely rebuilding now. But he's like kind of become soft. He's become a soft version of a Christian, where he's not so judgmental, but it's not real, you know? It's not real. And this is happening to whites constantly. Look at Trump. Like President Donald Trump himself in his earlier life, he was immoral, sleeping around, but with younger women. And now his son is immoral, and I don't know if he's sleeping around with this woman now, but he's divorced, but now, and he has kids, but now he's with an older woman. So even the degeneracy is getting a weaker form of perversion, right? A weaker form of perversion. And you hear about whites wanting to get with Asians a lot and stuff like that, which is like to me, like, I see that as kind of a perversion in that they have a weird attraction to a race that's supposedly easier to get along with or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they can't handle the white females. And you hear about, there's this I don't know, it's so gross. You hear about what is alleged. This guy is so disgusting. I hate it to even repeat it. But this guy, allegedly, and I hate to even repeat it about this guy, but I already read it in Hake News, so just let me read this to you. Can you turn on the AC? It's on? Okay, thank you. It actually feels nice. Falwell, according to this guy, this pool boy, Falwell watched me have sex with his wife. The affair supposedly spanned 7 years. And that seems to be like a trend among people. And maybe even whites. I don't know. But it seems like a degenerate. That's a weak form of degeneracy. At least if you're going to be degenerate, have some dignity, right? I mean, there's no dignity in degeneracy, right? But that is, and I tend not to believe it about this. I don't want to believe it. I don't even want to entertain or get into the details, right? But I happen to know that is like, yeah, I mean, there's this thing you guys call cucks, where they watch that stuff, or they like that type of thing. That is like for only further undermining any sense of dignity or manhood in the men. You're not even supposed to be degenerate at all, but you go to this? Such a shame. It's gross, right? So I just wanted to point that out. And by the way, you guys have talked about Drudge a lot and how you guys don't trust Drudge anymore, and he's gone off the deep end. Even with this attack on men, wasn't he the first one to break the Clinton affair? Which is a shame to be pushing that stuff out. I mean, yes, we don't want the president doing that in the Oval Office, but he's the one, he put that out. It's a shame to repeat that stuff. I don't know. It just seems a little bit sleazy. So, what a mess. It's gross. But, you know, I see it as all part of the attack on Trump and whites and America and Christians, because Christians are held to a higher standard, and they're really going hard after everything decent, because they sense that they can take over the civilization and totally destroy it and rebuild it into their image, which is really sick. Let me get to, I got a few callers on the line, Rick and then Joe, and then the rest of you guys Rick in Hampton, Virginia. Rick, how are you doing? Rick! Hold on. Not ready. Let me get to Joe in Phoenix, Arizona. Joe, how are you doing?
Doing good, James. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good. So on the Montrezl Harrell thing, your previous caller, it was
Oh, that
actually
basketball
blown up.
player. Okay. Yeah, that he
Yeah,
allegedly
it
said
was-
something negative to that white guy. Called him a
it
white
was
boy.
blown up a lot on the sports shows. It was talked about a great deal. But the real thing about that is that, the very next game, he pulled the white player aside and apologized to him and said he was wrong, and, he did the right thing, and no one had to tell him to do that. He did it on his own.
Nice.
And the white player accepted his apology, and they squashed the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that was the good news of it, right?
But you know what? I don't like how the media has dealt with it, and I don't even know if it really honestly needed an apology, because when you're in the heat of the moment, you're gonna call people names, and there's all kinds of name calling going on and cussing going on in these games,
You
right?
disagree on that one, James, because there's no need to bring his color or skin into it. I mean, you're playing ball, period, right? There's no need to bring in racist elements. And Montrezl Harrell was wrong for saying that. He was just wrong, and he was trying to dehumanize the guy by saying he was weak because he was white, and that is wrong, period.
I don't know. When you're in the heat of the moment, you pick out the traits that these people have, and maybe it's wrong, but it's just two men, one yelling at the other.
Well,
I don't like this.
The good news is that he apologized for it. He was wrong. He said he was wrong. He came out and did it on his own, and they talked it out. They talked
That's
about
cool.
like men and squashed it. So no one's accusing Montrezl Harrell of being a Rhodes Scholar. The guy,
Right, but doesn't it seem so like the mother, like a mother trying to police the language of the rambunctious boys and saying now that's how
about that.
I'm talking about how the media has treated it.
Huh?
Huh?
And not to mention, Luka is a superstar, and he's the future of the league, and Montrezl Harrell is a role player at best. So he should be quiet anyway, right?
Luka, what's his last name? Do you know?
Doncic, yeah.
Doncic, something like that, right?
Yeah, he's from Slovenia, and he's a fantastic player. And Montrezl Harrell is a role player at best. So just be quiet, Montrezl, right?
I don't know, man. I want some like manhood back into the culture where words aren't taken so seriously. Because you can say, yes, there's no need for the race to be brought up, but let's say it is. I doubt that.
There are plenty of other insults that don't drag the color of skin in. And believe me, I mean, I played sports my whole life. There are plenty of insults and curse words and everything else that you can say without bringing color into it.
But let's bring back toughness regarding color. Why do we pretend that needs to be such an explosive topic?
Well, I mean, there's a stereotype in basketball that white players aren't as tough or as good as black players, and that's BS.
Right. But you know what I mean? Because this is their simulation of war, right? The games used to be a simulation of war, something like that, right? And it gets heated. And how are you going to, I mean, it's good to tame the tongue, yeah? But this whole pretense about, race is a taboo topic. Let them talk race a little. And
why?
Because
what
we need.
Does that serve, James?
The purpose is to have the freedom of speech where they say it. Nobody pretends that it's such an outrage because it's really a fake outrage. Because do you agree with the other caller where if a white guy had said it to a black, we would be still hearing for it, even if he apologized, he would get disproportionate coverage and punishment. Do you agree with that?
I don't know about that. Again, like I said, that whole white boy comment was covered a great deal the next day, a great deal.
And so you don't think that a white guy saying something racial to a black guy would suffer worse.
Suffer worse? I don't know.
Suffer worse consequences. Man, why are you playing dumb? Do you not see the attack?
No, listen, Ben.
Do you not see
There's a player just a year or two ago on the Philadelphia Eagles who used the N-word.
Nice. A white guy?
A white guy. He got a whole lot of flack for it, but he didn't lose his job. He's still playing now. Cooper Rush is his name.
Cooper Ross. But I know you can probably pick Rush. Okay, whatever. But you don't see the attack on whites?
The attack on whites. I don't see an attack on white people in general. No, I do not.
Wow.
We disagree on
I
that.
wonder if he's lying or just that blind. Interesting.
No. I think he's saying that the attack on racism as an attack on white people, and I don't see that.
Say that again. You're saying that you think that I see the attack on. Did you say virtues?
On racism as an attack on white people, and it's not.
No, it's a crazy attack on white people. They're crying racism where it doesn't even remotely apply, and all kinds of stuff. What the heck?
Well, we disagree there, James, but I'll call you later on that.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it, Joe. Take care. Well, let me get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. He wasn't ready, but hopefully he's ready now. Rick, how are you doing?
Hey, Brother James, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fine.
I'm doing fine, too, man. I just want
Good.
to come on that shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And this, matter of fact, Jerry Falwell, what's it, Liberty University, it is in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay.
You are correct.
Nice.
And they really was real patient with that guy. They tried to talk to him. They was wrestling with him. They tased him. They tackled him. And he still reached in the car. What was he going to the car to get?
I don't know. And allegedly there was a knife involved. Chris speculates he may have been trying to get a gun. Who knows?
That's right. You don't know. See, a lot of people don't. I did corrections in the military, and also, and the police will say the same thing. They teach us that hands kill.
Right.
If you go, whenever you're escorting prisoners or police, that's why when police pull you over, all they watch is your hands.
Let me see your
hands. They don't care
hands.
about your leg.
Yep.
Yeah, they want to see your hands constantly because if you're going to kill a police officer or a correctional, it's going to be with your hands most likely.
Yep.
So that's why police, and once they lose sight of your hands, you're going to mess around and bite the dust.
Right. Yeah, that's it's an unknown threat. Very wild situation.
Man, you got the drug cartels, man, they carrying machine guns. They don't, man, 9mm.
Yeah.
They carrying automatic military-style weapons, and you going to sit there and lose sight of his hands? You only got 3 to 5 seconds if somebody pull up a fully automatic weapon. So he didn't do what he was told, and to me, the shooting is justified.
And honestly, a knife is every bit as dangerous as a gun within, I think a person with a knife, I've heard it said by experts, that a knifeman, if he's within 10 feet of you, he can cross that and get to you by the time you pull your gun. And so if this guy had a knife, it is, that's a deadly weapon. This is people pretending that, there's a million things that you can do to disarm them without shooting.
And most times these people that never done a day of law enforcement in their life.
Yeah.
And they always, all of their emotions. I said, you know what, why don't y'all do a drive along with a police officer at night and see what they go through? You know, all these, especially in the black community, they go around saying, you should have rubbed his back for him.
Yeah.
Oh man, once the police lose sight of your hands, chances of you biting the dust is high.
Yep. Very high.
And just do that because that's what we're trained.
Yes.
The train don't lose sight of nobody's hands.
Yep.
And once he dipped in that car, you don't know what he's pulling out. And once he won, they was even trying to tackle him. This dude, I was thinking he was on drugs. And just like I said too, that George Floyd, he was on drugs. When I saw how he looked, I knew he was on drugs. I didn't have to wait till the whole thing came out. I was like, this dude, like his body going through all kind of turmoil.
I know. George Floyd.
I said, I don't believe the police need killing him. I believe that them drugs and his body's going through all that, and then the media was able to say that the police knee did it, because I had a knee put on my neck. And you can't put that much pressure in that kind of position either.
What do you mean by that? You can't put that much pressure in that position.
Like for example, the way that if you get your knee, James, and just try and just put it on something, and there's so much pressure you can get.
Okay.
You can't put so much pressure that you will cut off the circulation. You can put some pressure on it, but just try it yourself. And put your knee down and see how much pressure you can get. It's not really that much unless you pull on something to give you some leverage. But other than that, if you're just using your knee.
Right. I don't think that it would, people say that it only takes a few seconds to choke somebody out, right? Or to strangle them, to put them out, put them to sleep. But that's only if you have the hold right. If you don't, it's not really doing anything to the person.
That's right.
It might be uncomfortable. Exactly. I wouldn't want it on my neck.
I'm on a sleeper hold, man. So, man, you when you wake up from that, you can remember what happened.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Anyways, Rick, I appreciate it.
Hey, love you guys, man. Keep up the good work there, Brother James.
All right, you as well. Take care.
Hey, did you ever see that debate between Rio Terrell and Cornel West?
No. Is that recent? Is that recent over Trump and all that stuff?
Yeah, because actually Leo, Leo Terrell, he's normally a liberal, but he's been supporting Trump lately. So Cornel West, he's liberal as you can get.
Yes.
And he was like,
isn't Cornel West basically a communist or a socialist? And he pretends to be reasonable. These people play reasonable so that they can deceive more people. But they're so fake.
And they get to screaming when you disagree. When they get to screaming, their eyes poke out their head and everything.
Yep.
And him and Leo was going down, man. If you just look at it, man, if you want to get a good laugh, just look at it.
All right. Appreciate the tip.
Cornel was to call him, Mom, you ain't doing that, my brother. And Leo Terrell said, I got more experience in Coleman than you do. Let me tell you, my brother. It was, I just take a look at it. It's entertaining, man.
All right. Yeah, that's true.
I love y'all. Y'all be good.
All right. You as well. So, I want to give you guys a quick reminder about President Trump's beautiful tweets from last year, July 14th, 2019, 5:27 a.m. Pacific time. He would have been before 9 a.m. his time. July 14th, he tweeted last year, 2019. He tweeted, and this is what I referenced last time because this is what made George Conway cry and call him a racist. And that's what really made him just go off the deep end because he's half Filipino. His mother came from the Philippines, or something like that, right? Was it Philippines or Indonesian or I don't remember. But anyways, by the way, Jesse Lee Peterson has spoken at Liberty University before. Did you know that? Right on. So, yeah, with those whites, have some understanding. Don't support the degeneracy, but also don't betray this guy as because he's supported Trump and he's right to support Trump. I'm talking about Jerry Falwell Jr. Whatever, people got to suffer though. So interesting, says Trump. This is a tweet from last year, a beautiful tweet. So interesting to see progressive, and he put that in quotation marks, Democrat congresswomen, which I call them female congressmen, who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it is done. These places need your help badly, and you can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. And that whole go back, why don't they go back and help fix that totally broken and corrupt, crime-infested places from which they came? That's considered racist because a white man said it. Even though every race has told every other race to go back, and they're now trying to do that to whites too. Saying, go back, you're on stolen land. Stupid stuff like that. And those beautiful and responsible tweets about the progressive Democrat congresswomen is rightly said, well said. But blind people who have a trauma, oh, my mom was told to go back, George Conway. Or, I was told to go back by racist Southerners. Get over that. He's not talking to you. Trump is not talking to you. He's talking about progressive Democrat female congressmen who hate the country. And they assume that they're talking about Cortez, Alexandria Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Cortez being part Puerto Rican, even though she was born in New York. And Puerto Rico is American anyways, but it's a corrupt place. They want independence, some of them. Very corrupt place, and she's a very corrupt socialist, anti-white, anti-American person, even though she's dating a white male. Get out! And Rashida Tlaib, who has more allegiance to Palestine than to America, even though she was supposedly born in Detroit. She has no allegiance to America. She's another anti-white, anti-Christian. She's Muslim, by the way. Socialist. She hates America. She hates white people. She hates Trump. She said, we're going to impeach the MFer. Based on what? No one knows. No one knows. And she cussed in front of her kids like that. Like a trashy, dirty, worse than some of the Mexican mothers that I knew in El Monte. She reminds me of that, but only worse and nastier. Or maybe every bit as nasty in some cases, right? And also they assume that President Trump was referring to Ilhan Omar, who was a Somalian Muslim woman who wears the turban with a bomb under it. Just playing around. Totally playing around, YouTube. Somalian refugee who came here at age 12 or 13 from Kenya. She was staying in Kenya. She was a refugee in Kenya. How do refugees come here? They're supposed to go, according to Ann Coulter, who does research on this stuff, refugees are supposed to go to a neighboring country temporarily until it cools off and then go back to their country of origin. And a neighboring country is not America. Somalia is not next to America. I'm sorry. And we shouldn't even be letting people from Mexico or Central or South America in as refugees. They just come in, make anchor babies. They're considered by popular lie to be Americans, so they vote and further disrupt the country. But that was the third female congressman that they were assuming. And then the fourth one was the fourth member of the so-called squad of dumb female anti-America cheerleaders who are not that pretty. Ayanna Pressley. She's from, Baltimore or somewhere? I don't know. But she's another female congressman. And now she's going bald, right? She shaves her head bald, I guess because she has alopecia, right? Far left, anti-American. Married a man who already had a kid, I think. And sick people. But that's who they assume that Trump was talking about. But he didn't name them. But they said, oh, only one of them was from out of the country. But usually when you're speaking in general terms, when you speak not specifically, you say, you see a car set on fire, and you say, oh, cars were set on fire. but don't necessarily mean more than one. So he could have just been talking only about Ilhan Omar, because Ilhan Omar was talking mess during that time. She's a nasty person. And so, interesting, but also, these people, even if they were born in this country as anchor babies, Trump is not for anchor babies continuing to be so-called Americans. He's not for that. He spoke against that before he was president. He said that's not how the law is supposed to be, and that's true. The 14th Amendment was never for that. It's so sick, these people. So it's all this fake outrage, which Joe doesn't see. Oh, I see an attack on racism, but you see it as an attack on whites. Well, it's so crazy. I guess he doesn't realize that. I guess he's part of the blacks who hate whites, so he's blind to it. But he'll call me on that maybe another time. You know what else is seen as racism? I saw it says a Dredge headline. There's a proposed California ban on flavored tobacco sales, because flavored tobacco is targeting the kids, right? But it's also targeting, I guess, blacks are into flavored tobacco. So it's proposed California ban on flavored tobacco sales sparks racism accusations. That's interesting. I don't know. They see racism everywhere. But California, it's kind of like what Daniel from Los Angeles was telling me with Uber and Lyft attacking the Sacramento politicians when they're both a bunch of liberals. But Uber and Lyft are also like private companies. They have to make a business. They have to make a living and help their contractors make a living too. Otherwise, they cannot function as a company. And they're talking about getting out of California because the Democrats in the state of California are trying to make it so that you have to give benefits and full employee status to your independent contractor drivers. So it reminds me of this. It's a bunch of liberals attacking each other. And isn't that interesting? Because that's what happens that type of thing happened in the Bible, by the way. There were times where God had the Israelites fighting against people, and then God made the enemy get all confused and they started fighting each other. Literally fighting each other. But it doesn't stop. But you don't see, when this type of stuff happens, you don't see, for the most part, people turning around and supporting good. Like, I have no trust in Leo Terrell starting to support what's right. And I have no trust in Nikki Haley or Tim Scott supporting what's right. Because that's not what they're that's not what they're about. It's just selfishness. Well, with Leo Terrell, he's kind of older school. He's been around a while, and he's seeing the insanity, but I don't know. I don't trust that he's actually waking up. But anyways, this is from MSN, LA Times. Is Jeb Jeb is not supporting, right? Okay. This is from LA Times. Supporters of the legislation to ban the sale of flavored tobacco in California are speaking out against a new advertising campaign from tobacco companies that claims the bill discriminates against, and they capitalize the word black and Latino smokers. Black is not to be capitalized. Dumb journalists kiss up to blacks, and that's why they're capitalizing black. They also kiss up to illegals, and they no longer call them illegal aliens. They call them undocumented immigrants. And they kiss up to the transgenders. And who's a prominent transgender person? One of the very prominent black transgenders who's pretending to be a woman. They call him a her. Or, of course, there is Bruce Jenner, who I'm dead naming. Is a dead name because goes by Caitlyn now, huh? Black and Latino smokers saying the ads disingenuously portray the industry as an ally of communities of color. The tobacco industry ad, which calls the bill's politics at its worst, alleges that the measure would criminalize menthol cigarettes, giving special treatment to the rich and singling out communities of color. So what a mess. They're fighting each other over who's more racist, I guess, or who's less racist. It's so backwards. Anybody smoke this stuff? I don't know. Let me move on. I don't like this story. It's sick. But there are major fires going on in California. Speaking of smoke, there's major fires going on in California, Northern California especially. There's been some up here in just up the road, Santa Clarita area, Newhall. People have had to evacuate a little bit, I think. But up in San Francisco area, fires like crazy. And supposedly, according to Drudge, there is smoke from the California wildfires now visible in Kansas. In Kansas, that is wild. And we've seen how I heard that the pollution in the city of Los Angeles, which has decreased a lot, by the way, in the early 90s and in the late 80s. I remember the pollution being bad, where if we would go outside, play basketball, and then come inside, you couldn't breathe in too deeply. If you went, you would start coughing, and it would be irritated. But nowadays, it's not so bad. I don't know if it's the cars that got better or the policies. You know, they pushed policies on these companies. I don't know what made it better, but it's a lot better than it used to be. But I heard that the sunsets, you know how the sunset over here in LA, California, it turns orange. Somebody claimed, I think it was a former pastor of mine, that it is orange because of the smog. It's beautiful, but that's because of the smog? I don't know. I cannot independently confirm. I don't know physics. I don't know how color works across different types of haze. Anyways, wildfires are crazy in California. Residual plumes of smoke have drifted all the way to the Midwest, reaching as far as the northwestern region of Kansas. It's been going on for days. The haze is expected to linger in the air for most of next week before the high-pressure system moves towards the Mississippi Valley, potentially into some of the southeastern states. Isn't that crazy? Some forecaster in Dodge City is talking about it. We're opening the treasure chest, guys. I will get to the super chats, guys. I will get to the super chats. Hold on. Let me open the treasure chest. Over on D Live, we do open the treasure chest as long as I remember. And lately, I have been remembering because Joel Friday here and Chris, the white dude, are remembering to click the treasure chest thing. So, thank you. Duly noted, we're opening the treasure chest. But it's sick. These people, I've heard many stories repeatedly of these fake environmentalist people. They're environmentalists, right? But they're fake people. And they don't know what they're talking about. And the federal government doesn't take care of the land. They don't take care of it. You remember there was a time when some river turned all the way orange? Did I remember to open it? Oh, yeah. The river turned orange in some place. And that was from the EPA did that to the so-called environment. They turned this river orange with some type of weird pollution thing. They're sick people. Over in the case of wildfires, very commonly it is the fact that they don't allow burnings, or they don't do controlled burnings, or they don't cut the trees down in the brush and all that stuff. And so the stuff gets out of control. It's been happening a lot. And over, you remember the militia up in the Oregon area? The Bundy ranchers in Nevada, some of them, the militia, went up to Oregon to support the Hammonds or something like that, these private landowners. And the federal government was having another beef with the locals, the landowners. Yeah, it was a river in Colorado that turned orange, I guess. Pink or orange because of the chemicals in the air. I don't know. But over in Oregon, I read on the Conservative Treehouse, which is also called The Last Refuge. There's a writer named Sundance, and it's a pretty conservative blog. It gets a lot of, makes the rounds, right? Generally, they try to be accurate in what they put out. According to them, they said that the local landowners took better care of the land and the wildlife thrived more and everything was better than the so-called federal government and these different National Forest Service, the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, not to be confused with Black Lives Matter, but the same evil mindset, oftentimes. And some other group, right? Maybe the EPA, I don't know. But they didn't know how to take care of the land as well as the locals, the local independent landowners who took care of their ranch better than, and the environment better than the feds. And then they were trying to take over more and more and more and more land, pretending that it's for preservation, right? Well, that's just another example of the private citizens doing better than the government and knowing better. Anyways, let me just double check the super chats. Thank you to Noah's Ark, Kansas, and Polly J again, guys. Appreciate that. Super Bubba gave a diamond and said, have you read The Protocols of the Elders of Zion? I read like the first 2.5 pages after the FBI archives released it. I read the first 2.5 pages, but I haven't read beyond that. So no. Arizona lineman gave a diamond and said, more redheads means you getting married, boy. Thank you. And Dark Side of the Bear What says, that's not true, Hake. It's usually cold that does it. Are you referring to what are you referring to? I lost track of what we were talking about. Anyways, appreciate the support, guys. Let me just acknowledge the top contributors. Joe Maddock gave the most today. Polly J, Arizona lineman, thank you guys for the support. Cat Payne, Turtle Broman, Ev Jenny Crosby 2020, Noah's Ark, Kansas, Dark Side of the Bear What, Super Bubba, and the Rev Chad Kroger. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but thank you guys for the support. Anyways, guys, I'll see you tomorrow on the Hake Report, thehakereport.com/show for my stuff, jesseleepeterson.com/show for Jesse Lee Peterson's stuff. And enjoy. Take care, guys.